Well, the battle is on. It's on for your health, for your skies, for your home. It's on for your food. It's on for every part of your life. Your money. We'll talk about all that today. I have some quotes that you need to listen to from some global leaders that have an American impact. And now with Larry Fink over the World Economic Forum, those things are actually being instilled already here. We're going to discuss that. Also, we're going to talk about what Trump just did. Trump deployed troops. It wasn't just to Washington, D.C. It wasn't just to put them in the seas. There was a specific place he just deployed troops to. Actually, very much like this, and we're going to discuss what he just did. It actually made most of Americans' Democratic leaders, along with Latino countries, very upset. But to be honest with you, if you are a law-abiding American and have a family member that's had struggles, this is probably one of the most impactful things that we voted for. We'll talk about what Trump just did. And then we're going to talk about the grid again. These data centers are pulling so much energy. Texas did do something. They said that they would cut off certain parts of that grid if it became vulnerable. What we're seeing is the talks of all this grid vulnerability and the fact that no one's really doing anything about it. We keep talking about it, but not really doing anything about it. Because all of a sudden now there's a shortage of transformers. Well, we have the data centers putting more pressure on the grid. We have the weather putting more pressure on the grid. Now we have the transformers that actually help run the grid are in shortage. What does this mean for us and what should we be doing? Let's dive into all these stories and a few more today. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today. We are humbled by you coming alongside, and hopefully something in our videos will help you say, you know what, I may need to do that. That is a common sense approach. Maybe we need to do that, be more wiser, have more sustainability. That's what we hope more than anything when it comes to these videos. So thank you so much for being here. Now let's jump into the stories of the day. First, let's talk about what Trump just did with the deployment of troops. Trump deployed 4,000 troops. And we're like, why? We don't want to get rid of our troops. We don't want them all over the world. This actually is a good thing. Listen to this. U.S. South Command deploying 4,000 troops to Latin America waters to counter narco-terror operations as they loom. I want you to listen to this. The U.S. MQ Reaper drones are also flying over the mission places in Mexico. Another headline, Mexico President draws red line, says U.S. kinetic war cannot happen and operations to hurt the drug cartels. Remember, they've been bought out by the drug cartels, but I digress. Let's keep on going. Hemispheric defense. This is what I like. Trump directs military for kinetic ops against the foreign drug cartels. He's actually doing exactly what we wanted. Another story says the Trump administration has deployed 3 U.S. naval-guided missile destroyers and attack submarines off the coast of Venezuela to combat the cartels. The U.S. military is finally taking immediate threats serious, and these are the ones on our homeland. This is so much more important to me than the Middle Eastern junk that we're going through, than the Russia-Ukraine junk that we're going through, than the European junk that we're going through, because this all deals with us. I bet everyone watching this video has been affected or knows someone that's been affected by some kind of narcotics or some kind of trafficking or some kind of drugs. It's so sad to see what's happening in our cities. This is how we solve the problem. You stop the trade from China, yes, but Mexico is where it's flooding in. The fact that the president of Mexico and the fact that Democratic leaders are against this should make you question everything that you have known about politicians. Remember, what did Yuval Harari say? I want to go back to this because this is so important, because it goes back to the World Economic Forum, but it also goes back to what is actually happening to Americans. According to the West's Yuval Harari, artificial intelligence and other means of dependency will put millions of people out of jobs. It will create a useless society. Those useless society, as long as we keep them fed and drugged, we will have everything that we need. The economic needs will be met with no disruption. So a lot of times globalists and the powers that be want that to keep on happening, because again, a dependent, vice-stricken, drug-tolerated group of civilization and cities will do whatever the leadership says. If someone has a vice or a problem or an addiction, they can control them. And I love the fact that Trump is doing this. I absolutely love this, that we're deploying troops to the problem areas that are causing problems for millions of Americans each and every year. You think how many millions of Americans that lose their life every year to this, but not only that, the ones that are dealing with it, that are in rehabs, the ones that have destroyed families. And it's so sad to me to see this. I see it especially in the rural areas. We see this in the rural areas just as much as you see it in the cities. This is one thing that does affect all America, is the drug issues that are going on. I love the fact that we're shutting down the borders, but now we need to get to the cartels. We need to quit playing games. I love this, that Trump is going after the cartels. Now the crazy thing is, again, not only is the Mexican leader, not only the Democratic leaders, you'd be surprised how many cities are upset that Trump is wanting to clean them up. This is a big push for federalizing cities. I don't want to federalize cities. I really don't. I don't think it's our right to federalize cities. But I will say this. If your cities are in shambles and they're not trying to clean them up, and on top of that, they're allowing for more of this form of dependency, addictions to happen more in their city, then bottom line is they just need to fail. I'm the exact opposite of what Trump is doing when it comes to federalizing the cities. Let the cities go. Because places like Chicago, New York, Baltimore, all those places will go into a point of no return. Jackson, Mississippi is one of them. And so what you're going to see is, if these cities want to keep on pushing this way of saying, well, it's all Trump's fault, it's all the Republicans' fault, when they've been under leadership for the Democrats for 50 to 60 years, on top of not actually trying to let the police be police, on top of getting mad at Trump now for going after the cartels that are causing for a lot of this illegal activity go along in these cities. It's so sad to me that this has again become a provocative issue. It's kind of like yesterday when I told you about the Trump ban on under 18 minors getting transitions done. It's like, why is that a big issue? It's amazing that if we went back 50 or 60 years and you had people wanting to fight against these things, people would be like, what's a 95% or 98% reason we would all want that? And now we have a major party saying it's okay to mess with your children, it's okay to drug your children, it's okay to drug Americans, it's okay to make dependency, because ultimately, like the WEF says, we can control them. Is that why? Why are we allowing this to happen? I love what Trump is doing here more than anything. More than anything that we've done when it's come to all this random stuff about the big beautiful bill or bringing Europe over here and trying to talk them into peace. That stuff needs to happen. But the thing that affects us the most is taxes, it's inflation, the cost of goods, and it's the problems with what's causing the vices and the dependency issues in America. And drugs is a big deal. I love this. I want to read a few of these comments because this leads right into the next story about the whole situation with Nova Scotia and Canada, but also the fact that don't be thinking that lockdowns and shutdowns will not come back. I want to kind of show you and hit the narrative. We're going to talk about these quotes right quick. This is one quote. The WEF now admits that the climate change push has failed. However, we know the next manufactured global agenda crisis could easily be the fight of water. How many times have we talked about that? This is a World Economic Forum member. She said, we tried several things, but we do know that water is first and foremost, and it will be the next battle and the next crisis. Now to Nova Scotia. It's rained in Nova Scotia again and again, 3 days in a row. But we're banned from walking in the woods because it wasn't raining. Well, now it is. Why are we still banned? You're still banned from walking in the woods. Man loses his home because of unpaid water bills. So this gentleman had a home that he paid off $800,000 worth of a home in Brooklyn. And yes, he should be paying his water bill. I'm not saying that. But do we see how things could be utilized against you? It's kind of like the property tax talk. Your goods are always threatened because if you don't pay the piper, if you don't pay the government in some form of regulation, they can take what you want. Pesticides are becoming not only protection, but actually a bigger liability for the farm. Why are we seeing the problem with the farm? Are we going to see severe famine because of this? And last quote. The people who are pushing for green initiatives to push against your cattle now suggest that we should proliferate a plague of ticks to prevent people from eating meat. There shouldn't be any people eating meat. We need to try to get to this climate change initiative that we're wanting, even down to the water, And have we even thought that we could use ticks to our advantage? And that was a lot of quotes thrown at you. Every one of those are taking parts of your freedoms away. Before we talk about each one of these, a word from today's sponsor, Chapter. What is Chapter and why they're important? When I first heard about Chapter, I didn't even know who they were. I didn't even know what it actually did. And they were talking about Medicare, and I'm thinking, I'm not 65. I don't understand that. But then my parents become 65, and I started realizing how hard it was for them to find the supplement policies, the part A, B, D, C, E, F, G, all these parts. All that was like foreign language to me. Well, that's where Chapter comes alongside. Call them below. Spend 15 or 20 minutes on the phone. Let them help you save some money. Their services are free to you. It's free. It costs you nothing. The average American that uses Chapter to help them and guide them and advise them on the best Medicare plans saves $1,100. Sometimes more, sometimes less. But if you are 65 and older and you're able to save a few $100s, if not a few $1,000s a year, that's a game changer. Please check with Chapter now. Let them help you. If you are 65 and older or about to be, have questions and concerns about your Medicare plan, let them make sure that you're on the right trajectory as you navigate some of the best years of your life. They know the answers. They're advisor for you. Check with Chapter today. Now let's go back to some of these comments. First, let's talk about the farm and the meat, because that kind of relays back to the water, and then the water now is becoming a bigger crisis, like they said. The liberals and the people in the green space now suggest that we should proliferate the plague of ticks to prevent people from eating meat. Try to come up with the most farcical April Fool's way of net zero nonsense, and now it just happened. How about writing a paper titled Beneficial Bloodsuckers? This states that we are morally obligated, and this is from a college now, that we subsidize, that these kids are literally borrowing money from the government to go to, are writing these papers. That it states that we are morally obligated to promote a plague like the Lone Star tick, whose bite can lead to medical problems and allergic reactions in red meat. Oh, and it could absolutely kill you. But more than that, we want to promote a different style of food and eating, and this may be the best way to start a plague. Now, listen, this is American people and American teachers telling you this. This is academia telling you this. This goes along with this next story. It says, the pesticide liability has now caused for major problems. Did you know, and I've said this, I think, 4 videos so far, because I want you to understand. The Pesticide and Liability Protection Act, what that is what the Republicans and Democrats alike passed to where the sprays that has caused for major problems, sicknesses, cancers, death, the Roundups, the glyphosates that they're spraying on your crops and putting in your seeds, that were causing cancers, that are still causing cancers. We just gave them a full pass, a full liability check to where they can't be sued anymore. So what does that mean? They're going to keep on putting this in your food. As stewards of the land and providers, the nation's farmers now face the most powerful obligation, raising clean food. The problem is, under this act, it gave them rights to use as much chemical as they need, that Monsanto tells them, that Bayer tells them, to make sure that they're growing the crop. Sad thing is, the crop that they're growing is actually less nutritious and more dangerous for you. So now we hear the fact that now we're wanting a plague on our meat. And now we're hearing the fact that the companies that are spraying the herbicides and the pesticides on your crops that actually is causing for you to be sick is now free of liability. Listen to this. The parallels of this current situation is very striking. Consider the case of glyphosate. The active ingredient is of Roundup. Bayer has acquired through Monsanto, has faced, listen to this, 177,000 lawsuits involving this weed killer. And it has settled up to $16 billion in cases. Over $11 billion just dealing with the settlement of Roundup. But guess what? Our government just gave them a pass so they can keep on producing food with this kind of junk on it. So now, what does this cause? We have the problem with the food and the Roundup liability waiver. But here's what you don't realize. Famine. What happens when you start using Roundup and herbicides when it starts getting oversprayed and all this stuff happens? Do you remember Nova Scotia and Canada just did this? When they locked up the hikers that we were just talking about, it's raining, it doesn't matter, they're still locking up the hikers because they want you out of the woods. They're covering those with glyphosate. What is it doing? It's literally killing the green. It's killing the grasses. It's killing the trees, which will ultimately cause for famine in our lands. It will not allow for the animals to eat something, and the stuff they eat will cause for sickness. We have 2 studies where it shows that they are going to contaminate our food on purpose to make you fully dependent. Let's go back to the statement of the lady who said the fight is really going to be on water. Water will be the next fight and the next trajectory of full control. If it's not charging you your water, it's siphoning your water. That's what they're doing in California already. The water crisis is hitting more and more to where people will not have free access to clean water. Think of the bottling in the water bottles now that's come alongside the plastic water bottles. We talk about the dangers of plastic, but now these biggest companies are bottling the same water that you can literally get for less than pennies on a dollar to now buy for $1 or $2 or $3 or $4 for this special water. And all it is the same water that you can get out of your ground from the tap is now you're realizing it's bottled for you. It's an excess tax. Just like the man who now owes the government of New York $5,000 in a water bill. Now, you would think that they've just put a fine and penalty and that he should pay his bill. Here's the thing though. Whose water is it? This comes down to the water wells that I have on my property. It's my flipping water. I paid for that well to be dug. I paid for that water to be pumped out. It's my electrical grid that's actually doing it. But like for instance in the case with the water tax, the garbage tax, the tax for the tag. Do you know in my city, you can't even pay your own taxes and get a tag and make sure that you're in right standing without paying your water bill and your garbage bill first. Now, do I believe those things should be paid? Yes. But it comes down to a bigger thing. Every part of your life is going to be regulated. And now that you're going to see water being on the forefront, we saw meat being attacked, we see the land being attacked, vegetables being attacked. What's next? Water. Water crisis will affect us. If they're willing to take away your house because you didn't pay for your water bill, if they're willing to shut off your water because you did not pay your water bill, yes, you should pay your bills. But the bottom line is, if they control the water, they control you. So now we have Trump battling the drug cartels to try to get rid of them. Democrats are still pushing for them. Now we see the fact that meat and water and land will be looked on as bad. What's next? What is next? There is no next. There is no game plan that's going to be bigger than this. Who is the biggest institutional grabbers of city pensions, city governments, and also some of the biggest bottling companies in America? BlackRock. Did you know that? BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. And he just became the leader of the WEF, who just came out and stated that water will be the next crisis that we will have to face, dealing with climate emergencies. Lockdowns are already happening in Canada where you can't go outside. This man is being sued, and actually his $800,000 house is being taken away from him because of his water bill. I think it's great that YouTubers like Mr. Beast and all these, the biggest of the biggest YouTubers now are pushing for this clean water initiative. I think that's great. Here's the problem though. They're pushing for the cleanest water initiative really across the world. Does the world need clean water? Absolutely. But I really think this is going to be a way of control in America. Think about the farms in California. Without that water, they can't have any herds. They can't have anything. They can't have any grasses, any hay, any fruits. So it goes back to the petri dish growing and the dependency. Please pay attention to these stories. You have now the left threatening to plague your meat, put famines on your land, and to take your water. This is a dangerous, dangerous precedent. And now our freedoms that we haven't discussed. Freedom of speech. I want you to listen to this. This just came out from Charlie Kirk. It says, he made this tweet. He said, Muslims do not assimilate. They aggregate, they infiltrate, and they conquer. That is their goals. We've heard that from several imams, several clerics, several groups of individuals here in America. And Charlie Kirk made this post. He said, if I tweeted this in UK right now, I would be arrested. I'd be arrested. They're doing the same thing in Canada right now. If you speak against this problem with the Nova Scotia and the Canadian thing, if you speak against that, then you can be prosecuted for it. I want you to listen to this Islamic scholar that's from America now. Listen to this. It says, popular Islamic scholar with millions of followers, Mr. Naik, says that abusing women who do not comply with Islamic dress codes, meaning like Sharia law, and something that we allow only because of what Allah teaches, we can then own them, hurt them, abuse them, and murder them. And it is their fault. That seems extreme, doesn't it? That seems extreme. It's amazing how we're allowing our freedom of speech, our control of the narrative in America, assimilation, to want to make America better. It's got now people in it that say they're going to take those rights away. The left is working handily to do that. But along with that, you see religions that are against equal rights. It's amazing that all these people are standing up for this religion to infiltrate America, and at the same time, that same religion would absolutely destroy the way of life of most liberals. Hillary Clinton came out a few days ago and says we need more censorship when it comes to free speech on social media. So, I don't know about you, but even though things tend to be trending in the right directions, I mean, they said they'll probably lower the interest rate coming in the next meeting, which is going to be next month. We see that Trump is actually fighting the cartels. We're fighting for peace across the world. Those are great things. But if you're not careful, there's still a war against you. And I don't want us to put our proverbial head in the sand. There's a grid issue that's taking place. Texas is struggling. The PMC grid is struggling. WoodMac sounds the alarm that transformer shortages are going to cause problems because the AI data centers are needing more power, and it's causing for more stress on the grid. If we're not careful, our fragile power grid won't be fragile anymore. It will be destroyed. That is unbelievable. So, let's just discuss right here. I just told you the grid's in shambles. We still have people loaded with drugs, and that the Democrats and the Latin American countries are still pushing and getting mad at Trump for trying to stop. We now have the most powerful man in the world, which would probably be Larry Fink, is now over the World Economic Forum, who is now telling you that water, meat, and land are not good things, and they should not be as part of freedom. They should be something that you have to fight for instead of them being free rights to you. The water crisis, the plague on the food, the famines because of the sprays. Congress backed every bit of this now. Congress is backing this. This is the stuff that you better prepare for. Yes, Trump's doing great things with peace. Yes. I mean, we have RFK banning artificial colors in foods. That's all wonderful things. But let's not lose focus that our food system is literally being targeted. Our lives are literally not free because of what it's costing us to have our water, to have meat. These things will happen. The same problems that are happening with these lockdowns in Nova Scotia and Canada will affect us before long. You may say, well, it won't be during Trump's term. Well, great. I hope not. But it will still happen because we are trending in the wrong direction when it comes to still academia, education, even the FDA. Congress, every one of those entities just basically spat in your face when it comes to the Liability Act. You wonder why our food is making us sick? It's because Congress just passes bills to give liability coverage for herbicide and glyphosate companies to where they can't be sued anymore. So now they can just use more and more and more. As long as you have food, though, on the table, that's all that matters. Sad thing is the food that you're eating is actually causing you to be more harmed, so then to be on more medicine, then to be more controlled. Gosh, this is so sad to me. Why are we not focused on this? Pay attention to these stories. Prepare. Make sure you have alternative energy sources. Make sure you've put up some food. Make sure you've got some stockpile of water. These things are important. Pay attention to the small stories. Don't look at the big headline news about Russia, Ukraine. Don't miss out on the small things, because that's the things that's causing us harm. Pay attention. Guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless.